To our special coverage here at Davos at the World Economic Forum, where my colleague Siddharth Zarabi, Group Editor at Business Today, and I are talking to several newsmakers, thought leaders on this, at this moment in the world where there is plenty of disruption. And in this disruptive world order, or the Trumpian world order as we call it, US-India relations also in the crosshairs, which is why a good moment to welcome our next guest, Mukesh Aghi, President and CEO, US-India Strategic Partnership Forum. Thank you very much for joining us here in Davos. Let's cut the chase and ask the straight question. We've had you a couple of times in the last few months, each time talking about the US-India trade deal. Will it happen? Won't it happen? We are now in 2026. Are we any closer to sealing a deal than we were, let's say, a few months ago?
The question I have to ask is, does a trade deal matter? And when you look at...
That's an interesting way of changing the goalpost. After first saying, we want a trade deal, you're saying now, does a trade deal matter? But go ahead.
The Indian side and the US side have been negotiating many, many times. And I would say that it got concluded, went to the president, and he kind of changed the goalpost. And where we are now at the moment is almost final again. It will go to the president, he'll take a call. I believe we will have some kind of a trade deal in the next 3 months.
That's the 3 months that we are pushing it. So we are looking at, what are we, January in April, and it won't be a full-blown trade deal in your view, it'll be more limited?
It will be a full-blown trade deal, because what India is doing is, which the Europeans and others did not do, is we are getting to nuts and bolts, making sure that reciprocal trade terms are agreed upon. What are we going to agree on the agriculture side? So if you look at what has happened with the European trade deal, suddenly Trump said, I'll put 10% more penalty on Greenland. Whereas this one is going to be a signed deal between the two countries.
Before Siddharth steps in, just to ask you, can we then trust a Donald Trump? Given that, as you say, he's weaponized tariffs. He's using tariffs as a weapon. He's used it against India, saying if you buy Russian oil, I put 25% penalty. He's gone ahead, done that. Many of us would believe that that's hypocritical because other countries are trading with Russia, don't get the same penalties imposed on them. Are we dealing with someone who is simply, who one simply can't trust? How does one trust Donald Trump to do a trade deal with him?
Well, that's a question countries are asking. That is, when you come to terms and conditions, will that change?
Yeah.
And we have seen the case of European, they have agreement, 15% tariff, and suddenly 10% more tariff, and if until June, they may basically take up another 25%. So the question everybody's asking is a trade deal, will it last?
Absolutely, and Mukesh, you made that point very well, and Rajdeep, in fact, this is one of the busiest Davos forums that I have seen in the past 3-4 years, 3,000 plus, and there's a clear Trump shadow over all the entire deliberations. Greenland has cast a shadow. Denmark has pulled out on account of this from the forum. But let's come to one very important point that we pick up from Indian CEOs. And this is the consequences that we are witnessing by some accounts on American investment into India. Even as a trade deal, as you put it, may happen in April, are you confident at the top of 2026 that this year we will see once again a much more higher level of engagement from American companies investing in India? A massive deal was announced for Andhra Pradesh, for example, $10 billion and more. Is that going to continue this year as well?
Absolutely. I must have talked to 100 US CEOs, global CEOs. Not a single one said that they will reduce their investment in India. Not a single one said to me they will move the supply chain out of India. You have to understand, you have a political relationship between India and the US, then you have a business relationship. India is very, very critical for US companies, not only just for market access, but leveraging Indian talent to become more competitive on a global basis. We have over 2,000 global capability centers in India, 60% are American. In the last 2 years, they've generated 300,000 IP for these companies itself. So America will continue, American business will continue investing and leveraging India.
Rajdeep, before you take
Yeah,
it
go ahead,
further, business trumps politics. I think that's the message from the Indian side, Mukesh, therefore, to ensure that American companies continue to invest more and find India attractive and a good place, and Indian companies a good partner to be with. What do you think needs to be done more? The last year, 2025, has been a year of significant tax reforms and other reforms in India. From someone who observes this on both sides, what would you expect more from India to continue that trend?
Well, what we're seeing is the ease of doing business is getting better. Still not there toward the world-class level, but it's getting better. The challenge is it's not Delhi. The challenge is when you go to state level, where you set up a factory. The number of licenses you have to go through, that has to be fixed. But what we have seen, the Prime Minister is meeting with American CEOs on a regular basis. We are sending them, he's meeting with them, and they are making commitments into India. Yes, you saw Google's commitment of $15 billion. You have basically Satya Nadella committing from Microsoft almost $30 billion data centers. We are seeing more and more US companies investing in India, and that's not good for them.
Amazon also to that, a very, very significant number from their side as well.
And it's interesting, you've now got a US ambassador at last in India, in Sergio Gore, and he's put out, in terms of the statements out in public, they're positive. He's also now tweeted that India has been offered to come and join the border peace on Gaza, which Donald Trump...
His photos with Indian business leaders.
That's right.
When have you seen that happen?
So you seem to be getting mixed signals from the United States at one level. Despite all the noise over tariffs, there are signs that the United States clearly wants to do business with India. Do you see, therefore, the noise reducing in 2026, that eventually business will trump the political noise? Will it trump the political noise?
I don't think so. You have a president who wants to be center of attention everywhere. And a sense of instability, sense of chaos seems to work in his favor. So he will keep on making, it's not just about India. I mean, say, it could be Iran, it could be Greenland, it could be Canada, or on the Western Hemisphere. So I think that noise will not die down. I think you will see it's getting louder and louder as time goes by.
So would your advice therefore to Indian business leaders be to shut out the noise in some way and do the kind of deals that are in mutual interest, the spirit of reciprocity, work on a spirit of reciprocity, allow the noise to continue, but focus on what your targets are?
Yes, I would say that learn to ignore the noise, the political noise, focus on business, which is solid. I mean, say if you look at US-India relationship, it's not just about trade deal. It's about, investment between the two countries. It's about technology. It's about defense. It's about people to people itself. So those are real solid relationships.
You're saying people to people, but there is a lot of concern, for example, over H-1B visas.
Exactly, that was my point.
There are genuine concerns out there. So we can't ignore the noise beyond a point as well.
So you have to understand, and you have to agree with me, that in certain cases H-1B were abused. And I think they're just trying to fix the issue itself. America needs these workers. If you look at the latest data itself, the more doctors coming on H-1B, the more tech people coming with higher salaries into America. So we from a business world need these people in America to help us succeed.
Who abused the H-1B?
A lot of countries, especially they game the system by applying multiple times same individual itself. They basically gamed it by giving some wrong numbers, wrong data, and everybody agrees on that number. I mean, say
because the messaging from the MAGA base of Donald Trump, the Make America Great Again, they seem to suddenly be sort of almost targeting the Indian immigrant for all the remarkable work that Indian immigrants have done in the United States, have built a reputation. Suddenly in the last 1 year, you've had these seemingly intemperate remarks and attacks made on Indian Americans. Again, it comes back to it. How do you shut that out? How do you keep that out now and just focus on your mutual interests?
So the small group have been very active on social media being anti-Indian American. But vast majority of people are welcoming Indian Americans. And what's interesting is, if you notice, is that the 75 countries list where visa restriction was put on, India was not on that. That sends a message.
But also the messaging that emerges, and taking forward Rajdeep's points, people from the Trump circle, so the new US ambassador to India started off, I think, absolutely in Indian cricketing parlance, right on the front foot. He's batting on the crease. But they keep saying negative things, including the latest remarks from Peter Navarro on energy. And many of these confuse people that what is going on? Is this like almost like driven by racism, Mukesh, if I may put it that way?
I think it's driven by ignorance. That's number one. Yeah. It's driven by the success of Indian Americans, because you have a migrating community for the first time in the history of America, which has not gone on the economic low end. It has come straight up to the top. And today the average American Indian's salary is twice the national per capita income itself. But
do people there realize, Mukesh, about the people who are going there and the kind of institutions that they get into, and how tough it is to become an IIT in India? They're getting not the best of India, they're getting the best of the world, actually.
Absolutely. And I think that's where we, as working with the media, had to communicate more. I think we're not also communicating that very much itself. But I just want to add one more thing to the data. Indian Americans make 1.5% of the US population. They generate 6% of GDP. And if you look at 3 weeks ago, President Trump tweeted, people who, countries, immigrants who are on the government dole system itself, Indian immigrants were not there any of the list itself.
Net, though, is this an asymmetrical power relationship, or is it a relationship, as your organization would call it, a partnership? Is there a recognition now, particularly in Washington, that at the end of the day, you need to partner with India? We have this large market, we are a country which has far more in common, you would think, with the United States than, let's say, China does. In terms of democratic values, do you believe there's a recognition of that, particularly in this administration, in the White House, of a need for a partnership, not an asymmetrical power relationship?
So, the partnership is coming a lot more from the business community. The partnership is coming a lot from the US Congress itself. Partnership is coming more from the Defense Department, which does more joint exercises with India than any other country in the world itself. Partnership is coming from the technology world. Yes, you have some people within the White House who are making some statements. I think we just need to learn to ignore it and move on.
You ignore a U.S.
leader who's a U.S. senior official who's close to Trump saying the Indian economy is dead. Just ignore him.
Well, it's a wrong statement is made.
That's right. So
let's not.
So it's best to ignore them, right?
I would say ignore it. Stay focused, because India has a promise and opportunity for America, for American businesses itself, and we need to leverage that.
Mukesh, since we always talk about what America should do and invest, what about Indian companies? And I remember taking this point with you 1 year ago, right here at Davos, in terms of the opportunities in America. Do you think there are opportunities for Indian companies to go invest, do more outside of just IT and IT-enabled services?
And we are seeing that. Siddharth, we are seeing that. You look at Birla Group setting up a large aluminum plant in Alabama, $15 billion investment. You look at SR Group setting up a steel plant in Minnesota itself, again, multi-billion-dollar investment. So we are seeing Indian companies, pharma, they're setting up manufacturing in New Jersey, in state of Washington. So we are seeing that trend picking up by Indian investors. There was a data I saw in the last 3 years, over $40 billion have been invested by Indian companies into the US itself.
And Rajdeep, this sometimes gets overshadowed by the headlines. There are smart Indian businesses, the Birla Group amongst the largest, for example, and the other two groups, who are going ahead and doing business with America regardless of the noise, Rajdeep.
So the lesson is, business must lead politics rather than the other way around. People like us who sort of track politics on a day should be kept in the back room, and those like Siddharth who must be out there telling us, and you put some figures to that, Mukesh.
I have a follow-up on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is about education. So, amidst all of this, American universities have for many decades now been favored places for certain people from India who can afford and who get scholarships as well to study in the United States. Those numbers have dipped on account of visa and other changes and restrictions. Is that now a permanent feature? Because many students that one is aware of are looking at other geographies, and is that something that generates debate within the states?
I think this is cyclical. I think what has happened is basically the administration taken a drastic position on that. I strongly believe it's not about just the education. What is the career opportunity once you graduate? There's no other country in the world except America which provides that. I mean, say, look at the graduates coming out of a U.S. university, Indian graduates. They are getting into prominent institutions, companies, and getting that opportunity. So that process continues. You know, you can go to Australia, you can go to Germany, or you can go to UK,
or Canada.
Or Canada. But the opportunity from a career perspective, America is the place to go.
Okay, seems like a good way to look at the glass half full, and thereby hope that maybe a year from now we'd have a more stable relationship.
Maybe 3 years from now.
Maybe 3 years from now. We never know with Donald Trump, but the hope is always there that the relationship which has been nurtured over the years only strengthens, and the noise is kept out. And as they would say in our part of the world, you know,
Picture abhi baki hai,
picture abhi baki hai, ya inshallah, let's hope, umeed pe duniya kayam hai.
You want to add to that? Yeah.
We all live in hope.
We all live in hope, that's right. So we live in hope when it comes to the India-US relationship, once again getting back on track. Dr. Mukesh Aghi, for joining us here in Davos, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We kick off the third